calling all Lasso and leadership fans. Join us on this journey to a better, kinder, and more compelling way to lead. We're going to take you through a journey of the hit series Ted Lasso and explore what leadership lessons exist. And there are tons. Spoiler alert, we'll assume that you've seen each episode that we tackle, and we're aiming for about 15 minutes per podcast. We basically put this podcast together to really nerd out on the series Ted Lasso and on concepts inside leadership. And we're going to have fun pulling out some of the leadership lessons that may have gone unnoticed, underappreciated, and ones that are just generally really fun. Basically, we've created a public Ted Lasso fan club, book club, and global conversation. My name is Jason Rogers, and I'm the head of school at Rundle in Calgary, Alberta. But for the purpose of this podcast, I'm just a huge Ted Lasso fan.
Nice. And I'm Garth Nichols. I'm Vice Principal of Experiential Education and Innovation at Haverhill College in downtown Toronto. And Jason, this is a special episode.
Big time.
We have made 10 podcasts already, one for each of the 10 episodes in season 1 of Ted Lasso. So we're wrapping up season 1. So I thought, let's do a special episode to look back on this season, what we've discovered, uncovered, learned, and maybe even unlearned.
You know what? And since doing this podcast, I've been diving deeper into other podcasts as well. I'm sure you've done the same, Garth. And I've recently been into a little podcast called Smartless. I don't know if you heard of those guys, but I love them. And I've listened to about 10 episodes in the last couple of weeks. Among the greatest episodes, I believe, at least, are Peyton Manning, Kamala Harris, Paul Simon. Garth, have you picked up on those guys? You listen to them?
Yeah, I have. My favorite episodes are with Wakafina and Neil deGrasse Tyson. Like incredible, challenging. Nice. Sometimes I'm disappointed because I think those two in particular are fascinating human beings. But they do it with humor. They do it with love too, which is really great. Yeah.
I think now that we've given them a call out, maybe they'll give us a call out too. What do you think?
Yeah, maybe.
From one Jason to another, Bateman to Rogers. Let's get this done. I dare to dream.
I think you have delusions of grandeur with this podcast sometimes, but I love it. I love it.
Believe. Actually, you know what? Now that I've been thinking, my favorite episode of all of the Smartless so far is the one with David Letterman. He's a legend and he's so wise. And you know what I remember from watching him for so many years?
On The Late Show?
Yeah.
I don't know. What was it?
Actually, I remember his top 10 lists. And so I love them so much that I think we should maybe try to use them in today's episode. What do you think?
Do it. Let's do it. What do we do though? Top 10, what? Quotations, jokes, leadership lessons, top 10 songs, because the music in Ted Lasso is good, just getting better. So
I think let's leave the music for season 2 or season 3 because the music just does get better. But for this purposes, let's just get right into it, Garth. Let's do top 10 quotations. No explanations, no expanding on them, just the quotes. You game?
Oh, yeah. Okay, let's do it. I'll go first because I went for a run this morning, so I'm feeling this one. Ted Lasso says, "Your body is like day-old rice. You need to warm it up properly."
That's it. Maybe try one of those ice baths, Garth.
Yep.
Just like my boy. Okay, second quote, be a goldfish.
All right. In response to like changing and all that stuff, I really like his Ted's quotation, embracing change means being brave.
Totally true. I've got the next one, and I love when Rebecca says to Ted, "Oh, do you believe in ghosts, Ted?" Right before that seance. Ted says, "I do, but more importantly, I believe they need to believe in themselves." Classic Ted.
Classic. Another classic Ted. Success isn't about the wins and losses.
Got it. And I like the quotes from some of the other characters as well. And Trent Krim, I love his closing comment from The Independent, of course. If the Lasso way is wrong, it's hard to imagine being right.
Yeah, that's a beauty. I'm going to go back to this next one. What are we on, like 7 here? I don't know. Back to the first episode. They're on the plane on the way. So taking on a challenge is a lot like riding a horse. If you're comfortable doing it, you're probably doing it wrong.
Love it. Think about that in our own leadership, right? So good. My next one is, this relates to me. I'm not going to, I guess, editorialize, but basically, if that's a joke, I love it. If not, can't wait to unpack with you later.
And of course, I got to go with the one-word quotation, believe.
How could you not?
Finish us off, Jason. What's the last one? Top
Be
10.
be curious, not judgmental. Now, speaking of being curious, Garth, I'm curious if we've had some listener feedback since our last episode. What have you heard out there, Garth?
Yeah, well, we've been reaching out. This will come up later. We've reached out to people to be maybe some guests in season 2, and it's nice to hear that they are listening already, and we don't have to introduce the whole podcast to them. So that's great. But Germany is listening.
Hello,
Shout out.
Germany.
Hello, Germany. Joe Takar teaches out in Germany, and he also has his own podcast called That High School Life, where he interviews students about what it takes to be, what does it take to survive high school, and then even beyond as well. So it was really great to have that connection, and I'll be speaking with Joe hopefully sometime soon. What about you, Jason?
Amazing. And I have to say, one of my good friends and mentors reached out to me, and this was a really nice moment. So Simon sent a text to me out of the blue. I'm not going to read you the whole text, but I'll read you a snippet that I think captures his sentiment. Here's what Simon had to say. I sound like a groupie, but wanted to let you know that I think your podcast's superb. Yeah, as a Brit, it's very hard not to love Ted Lasso, but you've come up with a tremendously engaging and thoughtful podcast, which I'm enjoying very much. Speaking of fans, yeah, it's nice, right, Garth? Yeah. So,
thanks, Simon.
Speaking of fans, I've got some more big news. We're now being listened to in 20 countries. Okay. And I think we can set our goal for next season, maybe 40, maybe 50. We're on 6 continents, and we have over 15
of grandeur.
We have over 15,000 Spotify impressions so far, whatever impressions are, but 15,000 of them, that's something, right?
Well, listen, let's jump in, and I'm just going to skip the preamble. Tell us why Roy has maintained his spot as your favorite character throughout the season.
You got it, Garth. This is a callback to every episode we've had, but I feel like a broken record. But Roy's development over the season is what makes it so special. I think we all have a little Roy in us. We're a little bit cranky. Sometimes we swear too much. At least I do when I'm under stress. We all worry about falling from our prime, and we struggle with our personal relationships. We are human. And Roy, well, he's the most human I can recall in a fictionalized series. But with that, Roy finds ways to overcome his natural tendencies and grow, change, and evolve. And I think that's all we can really hope for in ourselves and each other. What about you, Garth? Can you land on a favorite character finally, or what? Who's going to take the cake here for you?
It's a great question. I thought long and hard about this, and I think my favorite character on the balance of season 1 has to be Keely.
Okay,
I think
let's have it.
She undergoes significant personal growth throughout the entire season.
Mm-hmm.
Initially, associated with Jamie, shallow, all that stuff. She evolves beyond this. She connects with a deeper sense of what love is. She establishes her identity, and it keeps growing into season 2. There's a certain resilience, strength, and independence. So she's portrayed as a strong, independent woman. Her character is not defined solely by her relationships, and she consistently asserts herself in various situations. Friendship with Rebecca. This unexpected friendship adds depth to both characters. And I think we highlighted this last week when, it was like she confronted Rebecca and she's, what does it matter? And Keely says, well, it matters how I think of you. How it matters how I view you. So I really love that. And despite her initial association with Jamie, Keely demonstrates empathy and kindness, and that interaction just grows over time with other characters. She also shows us how to navigate relationships. Her journey through various different relationships in the show, including romantic involvement with Roy Kent, is portrayed with nuance. And I think that we can appreciate the way the show handles these dynamics, emphasizing growth, communication, and then ultimately mutual respect. So anyway, in these ways, she captures the essence of the entire season 1 for me.
Wow,
what's
Garth,
been your biggest?
Well, before we go on, let me just say that's so on point. I think in our leadership, we do rely on, relationships, on independence and strength. And I think that's the center, and navigating those relationships is really what we do in our leadership. Bravo. I have to say that's a compelling case for Keely, and I would like to make a compelling case for Keely to join our show. So, if the opportunity arises, we've got a guest spot for you, Keely. So come on over.
Now, we didn't plan this, Jason, but isn't it funny that your favorite character is now romantically involved with my favorite character?
Oh, we did not see that. It's almost like we're, connected that way.
It's nice. It's just something to think about. Hey, listen, let's keep moving. Tell me, what did you get from season 1?
Okay, so this is a big moment, all of season 1 and the big takeaway.
Yeah.
Let me just say, earlier this week, I was standing with a friend and colleague, and he said to me, Jason, when you became a head of school, how much did you know about what you were up against?
Mm.
I quickly, without even thinking, Garth offered probably 10%. He then went on to say, it's amazing you survived your first few years. And it's true. And again, I quickly agreed. He then said, how do you think you made it? You've done the job for nearly a decade. And what followed was a long conversation about hard work, relationship, optimism, and growth mindsets. For me, what I saw in season 1 was Ted coming to an unknown place where he knew nothing, but he knew that if he worked hard, remember, when Beard and he fell asleep in the office, if he built relationships, biscuits with the boss, if he was optimistic, remember, I believe and believe, and had a growth mindset, his first press conference where he acknowledged he knows nothing about soccer, but he was there to learn. With all that said, the essence of the season, I really believe, is hard work, strong relationship, optimism, and growth mindset. And I think that really does summarize good and strong leadership. And I think they do it throughout. What about you, Garth? What's your highlight from season 1?
I love what you pulled out there, and I'm hoping that people are noticing that some of what you've pulled out is Ted's use of like rituals, the biscuits with the boss, and these totems, right? Believe, and it's up there. It's tangible for people too. Jason, that's well done. I love that.
Thanks.
For me, I'm gonna build off of why Keeley is my favorite character. I think when we're talking about leadership, it's very quick and easy to point to traditional people who occupy positions of leadership. And I think the world needs more strong, independent women like Keeley. And that's probably one of the main reasons I teach at Havergal College, right? Our mission statement is to prepare young women to make a difference. So for me, one of my highlights has to be the listener feedback and engagement. And I'll sort of tie this all together. I mean, we've had over 10,000 Spotify impressions, as you've said earlier, a stellar 5-star rating from several of our fans. And, for me, and I know that I can speak for you as well, Jason, this podcast has really struck a chord as leaders and with other leaders. So I think that what I take from season 1 is that you can't do it alone. And you have to learn in order to lead. And I think that's what you and I are doing. That's why we're here. We see this throughout the season with Ted gifting others with books, with him trying to pull other leadership threads into everyone's role, and with his overt lessons on the importance of practice, being curious, not judgmental. So in the spirit of being curious, I want to acknowledge some feedback I've received in a very gentle and beautiful way. I want to acknowledge that we are 2 white males doing this podcast about another white male leader.
Right.
And I've been wrestling with this, and I know that you have too, because we've chatted about it. Why do we do this podcast, and why I found it so fun, so invigorating, but also what I may be not noticing, what I may be not seeing in our perceptions and in the way that we're talking about leadership. Yeah. Basically, how do I become aware of blind spots? And I do think Keeley does an excellent job of that through her radical candor, all those things. So I don't have an answer necessarily to why I find this so fun and so invigorating, but perhaps it's because Ted Lasso is a great role model for me, for us, for white male leaders, someone who is open, who is vulnerable, who knows what he doesn't know. He's fallible. He does it with a sense of humor, and he lifts people up. And I think, it's important that white males have positive role models in our work, and he kind of fits the bill. But at the same time, we can do more. We can do more in terms of bringing more diversity into our show, as they do in season 2 of Ted Lasso. We've had white-facing and white-identifying guests on this show, and we will look to do better in terms of bringing in more diverse voices, and even try to include indigenous ways of leading and of leadership as well. And I think that, tying this back to Keeley, the football club didn't know they needed her. The individuals in the football club didn't know they needed her. And so I think you and I, outside of this podcast, when we prepare for the podcast, we ask ourselves these questions. And so for me, it's the listener feedback that has led us to examine our blind spots and to know better and do better.
Wow. Garth, I've got to take a breath. Thank you for sharing that. That was powerful and profound provocations.
And that is
Unbelievable.
excellent alliteration.
I thought you'd appreciate me elevating my lexicon, Garth. All joking aside, and back to the start of this episode and talking about Smartless and our future guests on this show. What do you think? Should we bring on a surprise and diverse guests to interview next time?
I mean, it's the only answer, right?
Yeah.
It's the only answer. So we are looking to you, listeners, if you have ideas, if you want to come on and expand our perspective, if you want to come on and help us out with understanding leadership in a more diverse and engaging way, happy to hear you out.
Amazing.
All right, so I'm in. So let's do it.
Okay.
But before we get into next season, let's wrap this one up as we do every week with a challenge and a rename. Jason, do you have a challenge for us?
I do, Garth. I just happen to have one, if you can believe it. And it's inspired by your vexations. Here's the challenge. How might we be sure that we're taking a look into our own blind spots? And how are we ensuring a diverse range of voices and ideas into our leadership knowledge, building, and practice? That's a big one.
That, Jason. Yeah. That's great. I like that. And I wonder if we can actually go back and figure out what might be some strategies we can learn from Ted. So off the top of my head, it's like, all right, so we have to reach out to trusted others, right? We have to build those relationships first, and we have to be open to that critical feedback. I also think I'm a huge reader, and I read fiction and nonfiction, and reading. You can't underestimate the value of it. And I think fiction is it's an action of empathy. It is building your skill of empathy. I don't know. Do you have any other ideas, strategies?
Well, no, I think read is really a core tenet that allows us to bring all those perspectives in, even if we don't have people right next to us. And as always, relationships are most important. So we build relationships through that. But I think while we're on the topic of books and reading, there are a lot of books represented in this. Probably another reason why I love the Ted Lasso series so much. So we've compiled a little top 10 books that show up either on our podcast or in the show. And let's do it in the honor of David Letterman's top 10 one more time, Garth.
All right.
Let's get through the top 10 books that show up either on this podcast or in the show.
Here we go.
You're up first. Let's go.
Radical Candor. I've mentioned it so many times, but the book Radical Candor. What about you, Jason?
We should be sponsored by Radical Candor, in fact. Number 2, Coach Wooden's Pyramid of Success.
Number 3, your man Roy Kent has given this book A Wrinkle in Time.
You got it. Number 4, The Dharma Bums.
Ender's Game.
Number 7, I believe, is Fight Club, or maybe that's number 6, but I love that book, Fight Club, just so you know, and I love the anyways, carry on.
Yeah, I tried to talk to you about it once, but you said no one talks about Fight Club. So. Extreme Ownership.
Coaching Soccer for Dummies, which I think is an interesting one in there, but that's where we all start, isn't it?
Yep. And, some comic books, Calvin and Hobbes, that gets mentioned a couple times in season 1.
And last but not least, number 10, The Iron Man.
Yeah.
And now, Garth, before we close, what would you rename this entire show? Instead of Ted Lasso season 1, what's your name for the season?
I would offer this. Season 1 of Ted Lasso should be renamed Leading with Heart, Ted Lasso's Playbook.
Unbeatable. I don't even know why I try.
Come on, give it a shot. Just make it really concise. Make it short.
Yeah, right. Okay, so friends, foes, coaches, and challenges. How the people who surround us can make us the better version of ourselves. And Garth, come on.
I'm counting how many words that was.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm speaking to you, to Kathy, and to Keith. These past 11 episodes have made me a better leader and person. So thank you, to our guests, and to all of our listeners.
Yeah, well, thank you, Jason. Thanks to your mom and dad too, because I know how helpful they are in your life. And I know they're good listeners on this.
First listeners.
Show, so.
Okay, so let's wrap up this season before one of us sheds a tear on air. Right. We'd love to hear what you think of season 1 and what you're looking forward to in season 2. A reminder that if you like what you've heard here, rate the podcast and share it with your friends and any celebrities you know. If we're ever going to get Sudeikis or any of these others on the show, we definitely are going to need your support. Garth, why don't you take us home?
Yep. So until next time, everybody, keep leading the lasso way.